set, go. Three guys, one mic, a lot of heavy. Oh yeah.
Ooh, the Jackal. I love the Jackal.
The only scene I remember from the Jackal is Jack Black
Yeah, running in the field.
getting his arm blown to pieces, and he's like, ah! That's all I remember from that movie.
I think you sent me that clip.
I did, of course, 'cause that's a great clip. That was before Jack Black was Jack Black.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's just
back
gonna be
when
Bernie forever.
he did a bunch of those.
Oh yeah,
Like Enemy of the State,
Mhm.
and yeah.
he had that like hacker
Yeah.
character down pat. Like he
His-
played that in a few films. Like
Yeah.
he was some nerdy computer dude or something.
His breakout, or I think debut, was Golden Girls. How crazy is that?
What? He's in.
Yeah, he played a taxi driver in a driver in
Really?
Golden Girls.
I know wasn't he one of in the sequels to Neverending Story?
Oh wow!
I don't know.
I think
haven't
he was
seen
in the
those
third
in a long
one.
time. I think probably the first film I remember him from, like consciously, Saving Silverman.
Oh,
I think that was probably his really
Out of the
like.
gate. That was kind of his big introduction.
Yeah,
Oh,
kind
wait.
of like, oh, look, this guy's a good
That's fucking
comedic actor.
hilarious,
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember when you said you were gonna make me watch it, and I was like, oh God, because I thought it was gonna have Sarah Silverman in it, which doesn't. I know that doesn't quite add up logically, but for some reason I thought she'd be in it. And no, Jeff. And I watched it and I laughed quite a bit. I love the coach in that movie. Wasn't that Gunnery Sergeant from Full
Yeah.
Metal Jacket?
Oh yeah,
That's hilarious.
Arlie Ermy or whatever.
Arlie Emery.
Emery.
And he ends.
yeah.
He like. Oh, I don't
He
want
ends
to
up-
spoil it.
Well, yeah.
But he ends up in the relationship
With Jack Black. Yeah, I mean, that's
What
kinda-
is your major malfunction?
That's so great.
Yeah.
So great. Because you wouldn't think that guy would be a good sport about doing something like that.
When I first met Alan, it was weird because I only saw him in Mixed Bag, and I figured he'd show up at the door. It's like, what's happening? And he came.
does that?
He came to the door and he's like, "Hi, I'm Alan," and kind of like he is right now, kind of sedate, and
We actually practiced doing Alan Burrell impersonation.
we do.
Did it in the car the other day.
We did.
We were like,
Isn't-
"Hi, I'm Alan Burrell."
You know what I like on a burger? I like bacon, and I like the Whiskey River sauce.
You know,
it has wow factor.
When I was 12 years old,
Yeah.
I saw a movie that changed my life forever. And I don't remember what it was, but it had Macaulay Culkin and that one girl from Veep. And there was something about glasses. He couldn't see without them.
But
Number 6.
he reminded me of Jack Black.
I can see it.
I got to play Jack Black.
Not only a
right.
really gifted comedic actor, but an actor who can kick the fucking ass out of a dramatic role. I can see it.
Alan Burrell can.
Alan Burrell.
Wow.
Yeah.
So nice.
Thank you.
That's Jack Black. Bernie.
Oh yeah.
God.
If we were doing a list
bought
of
that the
top,
other day.
of
$2
top
on
favorite
Blu-ray.
films, we might have to put that in there because
Yeah.
Bernie is probably one of the most underrated films to come out in the past 10 years.
So
I bought the Blu-ray the other day for $2. Best purchase ever.
Yeah, that movie should be way more expensive than $2.
I know that's the sad part, but hey, good for me.
Number 6. Worst film of all time.
Oh.
And it's number 6.
It's just the number 6 right now. Yeah. Well, I think we've talked about it on the podcast before.
Oh, I know what it is.
Because I was really sick. In fact, I think it might have been around the time where I had my throat surgery.
Oh, it's not what I thought, but I just know what it is now.
And I had been bedridden for a long time, recouping from the surgery. And, or maybe, yeah, I kind of forget. No, that plays right because it was during the first of the year when I had my throat surgery. And usually in Oregon, we don't get our snowstorms until January or February, early February. That would play right for when this movie was released. And we trekked out, and it was snowy. We were like snowed in, but we drove in the snow.
Number
to
3
go
on my
see the
list.
movie. Oh, this is number 3 on yours?
Yep.
And we were stoked. The cast was great, and it was the only time I had ever paid money for a
I know what it
movie.
is too.
And I turned to Jeff, and I literally said, honestly, like, don't want to watch the rest of this. I was
Neither did
so bored and so just like, wow, I really don't care that I just spent money on this movie and I don't want to see it. Like, let me get the fuck out of here. Monuments Men. Which I
fucking hate
know
this
some
movie.
people that actually really like it too, but
What the
man,
fuck is wrong with
that
them?
movie is like, oh my god.
It's when
Watching a water boil in a pan
Oh, water.
is watching a pan of water boil is way more entertaining than watching what great actors in that movie squander with whatever the fuck that is for a script.
I think we lasted 10 or 15 minutes, probably.
you couldn't finish it either.
No.
I think we lasted
Oh, wow.
about 30,
It wasn't
35.
bad. It was just nothing going. I was just.
Well, and I think that's probably, I mean, that's the worst of it. I think what's more like, what can be the worst movie of all is the movie that is like
it doesn't try.
completely forgettable. And that
Yes.
movie is the most forgettable movie I've ever seen.
It's not forgettable because I had a headache like 20 minutes in, and I kept saying to myself, okay, it's just a slow beginning. I'll wait a few minutes. I'll wait a few minutes and wait for it to pick up. Wait for the plot to pick up. We were 45. No, we were an hour. We were about an hour into the movie, and it was a slog to get there. And I
Yeah.
think we had like another hour to go
Yeah.
when we left. Ankle deep snow. Walking in, Ben had just gotten out of tonsil surgery. He was recuperating, and he was getting homesick. He's like, I want to go see the monuments.
That was my like first like time out of the house doing something.
after your surgery.
I was in the house for a few weeks. I remember
Yeah.
that. Like I really didn't hardly go anywhere. So I remember that being a big thing. Like, all right, this is my first time out.
Right
I
into
had
the
my
world.
pain medicine. I had my all the stuff, and I like trekked out there, and I just remember being so disappointed.
A movie with George Clooney, John Goodman, who usually brings light to things he's in, even if they suck. Not in this fucking.
Bill Mother, frickin' Murray.
John Goodman didn't bring like anything better to Monuments Men at all, and he usually lists it. Bill Murray's another one of those guys, although he was in the Garfield movies. But those aren't my list. Fuck. But anyway, I think
But you're a Coen Brother fan.
fuck. I think kids' movies are a whole different animal from regular movies when it comes to bad movies. Because God, if I took those into account, my entire list would be kids' movies, and I don't want that. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Alan
We're
doesn't.
talking like Space Jam, Free Willy.
you don't like Free Willy?
Alan's,
love Free Willy.
Alan's not a big fan of Air Bud 7.
Oh God. But
I love Blank Check. You ever seen Blank Check?
Wow.
Monuments Men.
Oh,
I saw the
man,
Nostalgia
what a
Critic
great
review.
fucking movie.
I've seen Dustin Checks In.
Same actor, right?
Is that the monkey?
Yeah, it's the monkey one, right?
I think so.
Wow. So Monuments Men. Okay.
So that was your what?
I don't even want to give that number 6 any more thought because it hurts my head just remembering that I paid probably like $10 to see it. Alan, you got one for us?
How about the latest Mad Max?
Oh, come on.
I didn't like it.
All right. It's fair enough because I didn't like Life is Beautiful. So why didn't you like it?
I felt like it was just too fast. I feel like they were moving the whole time, and I get that that's the idea of the movie, but it was just too much for me. There wasn't enough, like, settle down and establish some things, and I felt like the acting was... I love... what's his butt?
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy. But I felt like Charlize Theron was too robotic.
Really?
I just did not care for
Wow.
it. Yeah.
It's interesting. She's my favorite part of the movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
But-
Mine too, and I think Tom Hardy's probably one of the best big mainstream actors out there right now.
Yeah.
But even though he like plays like the same, it seems like he plays the same role in every movie. But
Does he?
I like whatever it is he's doing. But wow, Mad Max, that's okay. This is my perspective. Okay, so that was one of my favorite movies. Like, and I'm a huge Mad Max fan, even the originals.
Oh, I love the original.
I can
yeah.
watch them. Yeah. A person. I was taking a flight to Vegas, Okay, and I hate flying because I'm a big dude and big dudes crammed into those seats. It's
Yeah.
so uncomfortable, right?
Yep.
Well, what I do is I've got to where I can just lean forward rather than leaning back, and I have more room because my arms can actually like move. So I'll lean forward and just kind of like watch something on my film or something, right? Or on my little, phone or something. 2 seats ahead, a guy was watching Mad Max on his tablet.
And
I
you
could
watched
see it
that,
in
yeah.
full view.
Mhm.
Could not hear it. Watched the whole movie. I watched the whole movie. And I was completely engrossed and entertained, and I couldn't even hear a single thing.
Wow.
Well, I have something to say about that. That type of, I've seen movies where I didn't need the volume
Yeah.
to be entertained. I don't necessarily think that's going to define that it's
No.
its value.
That just shows how much I love the movie. That's what I don't think it
okay,
defines the value.
fair enough. I'm
There's-
just saying
there's
it's
a lot
really,
of, believe me.
it's a really fascinating
I
thing
live with
to
roommates.
watch
There's a
movies
lot
with
of
no
types of
volume.
videos I watch without volume that I can get.
I can watch a
have
lot.
some entertainment with.
Sure.
That was a sex joke. But I really think that. Wow, that's. Wow, Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah.
You heard it here, folks. There is one person in the world that doesn't like that movie, and that would be the gentleman sitting to my left, to Jeff's.
In front of Jeff.
I will say that I need to watch it again because I have plenty of movies that I hated the first time that are like some of my all-time favorites now.
I think
I've been there.
So Mad Max could be one of those films. I just,
Jeff did that to me one time. When I first saw The Aviator, didn't hate it. I just didn't really care for it that
Yeah,
much.
I felt
Then
the
I
same
watched it
way.
with Jeff. Top 10 films of all time for me.
now I need to watch that.
And
again.
that's just one of those
And
things.
that's what's weird
Jeff's
about
like,
films
"Well, you're
is
kidding me.
that
This
it's
movie
all
is so
about
good," and I
your
watch it, I was like-
perception and where you're. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really is.
Where your mood when you watch it. Although,
Absolutely.
let me just say, I don't think if I walked in with a great mood, I don't think I would. I think I would hate Monuments Men just as much. If I just had dinner with the entire cast and they tried to change my mind, I think I would hate it
And I remember,
just as much.
this is great, because Sony had that huge leak not too long after that movie came out. And one of the things, and I kind of felt bad, I don't know why, because I hated that movie. I saw an email that, like, one had leaked, an email between George Clooney, who made that movie, he directed it, and like a producer or some exec. And he was like, "I'm sorry." He even like was like, "I'm sorry. I really tried as hard as I could to make it something." Or like, but you could tell like he knew. He was like, "Damn, this is a shitter." Like,
Yeah.
and I felt kind of like, "Oh, man, I've been there before. Like, we have the best of intentions, and you just can't quite make it." But
Hero Crow's Christmas.
That's why it's hard to do lists like this.
Yeah.
Because filmmakers are trying. Like,
Oh,
as,
I know.
we all make movies. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard.
Oh, I know.
And so
it's really hard.
to fall short is.
And I tried to choose as many films that I don't really feel any remorse for putting on my list. Like, I don't give it 2 shits if they like it. But
All right, fair
but
enough.
yes, number 6 for you, right?
Number 6 is or talking about Monuments Men or my next one.
Your next one.
Malibu's Most Wanted with Jimmy Kennedy.
King Kong ain't got nothing on me. I just remember that quote.
I don't remember that.
Oh, okay.
I
I
remember.
don't remember the movie at all. No.
I remember
Jamie
this.
Kennedy?
This white dude trying to act like a black dude but failing miserably. I'm sure you've all known people like that. They're annoying in real life, and that
And they're annoying in the movie.
yeah, they're annoying in the movies. There's a scene where like he's trying to. It reminds me of that song "Pretty Fly for a White Guy." If you don't rate, overcompensate. Oh wait. He didn't have. He didn't have Ice Cube, so he plays Vanilla Ice. And as he's driving in the Pinto, he sees homies as he passed. But if he looks twice, they're gonna kick his silly ass. Like that song basically represents Malibu's Most Wanted. He's like this fucking douchebag who wants so desperately to be black, or what the stereotype of being black is in this movie, like the gangsta with an A.
Yeah.
And this guy is, if you don't rate, overcompensate.
But is it not a satire?
I think it's trying to be, but people
It's-
defend
but-
bad movies with. Oh fuck! That reminds me of another one I didn't have on here. We should do honorable mentions afterwards, but
I think I know exactly which one you're thinking of. Which is one of my favorite films of all time. Because we will go toe to toe on that film for as long as I live.
Oh yeah, but I didn't even get the joke until someone explained it. It was when they did. It was this is fucking stupid. There's a scene where he's talking to these quote unquote homies. He goes, "Hey homies, what up?" And like this gang of black guys picks up Jamie Kennedy and throws him in the dumpster. And when the camera moves and like tilts down into the dumpster, and Jamie Kennedy's laying in a dumpster full of Wonder Bread. And okay, it's like, ha, Wonder Bread. Why? It's funny because he's white. Okay.
Was that me?
Wonder Bread is like when you say, oh, something's so Wonder Bread, that's so white.
Who explained that to you?
One of my friends, his mom, was watching the movie with us.
Wow. I saw that in theaters with my dad.
You did?
I liked it when I saw it, but
oh, God.
You know, I was an idiot for a few years there. So
have you seen it since?
Oh yeah, it's horrible. And talk about a film that could never like really pass today. Like that movie would be picketed today.
I'm not so sure. Well, some people would picket it for sure, but
I mean, no. And then the thing is, and Alan, you're right. Like, isn't that a satire? I think it was a satire, but it was such a lazy satire that it was just.
It's true. Good satire needs good writing.
Agreed.
And just for frame of reference, because I know the 4 people that are listening to this podcast really want to know, the movie that I was talking about that Jeff and I will always completely disagree on, that I think is one of the most brilliant satires of all time, and Jeff thinks that I'm just making an excuse for it, but I think it's a fantastic movie. Harmony Korine's Spring Breakers.
Fucking hate that movie.
I absolutely love it.
I don't know what it is.
Cool. And we're moving on.
Basically, it's. I don't see the satire. I don't see the satire in it. Oh, see, he wants to start a conversation. Oh, I like it. He doesn't. Spring Breakers. Moving on, so Jeff can't reply.
Yeah,
probably because he knows it'll go on.
It's good. Jeff hates it. I love it. What's the big deal? Number 5.
Is it okay to?
Yeah.
Turn that light on.
Oh sure.
You're gonna make it too hot.
I thought you were gesturing to drink a shot or something. He was like.
No.
Number 5 is a sequel that I was very excited to see when the original cast said they were going to return. But when I saw it, it was probably the most misguided, idiotic thing that I've ever seen. So painfully unfunny. Capturing none of the magic which made the first one great. The first one I can watch all the time, constantly think it's hilarious. Never.
I know what it is.
Dumb and Dumber 2.
Oh wow.
Dumb and Dumber 2 is just wow. Yeah. It just was off.
Have you seen it?
I agree with
I think, and I'm trying to think like, why was it so off? And I try to like figure out what went so right with the first one. And the first one, yes, it's dumb comedy, but it's still so funny, but it's got such a 90s thing to it, and it just works.
Yeah. Well, the original is brilliant.
I think so too.
But I felt like the writing was bad in the second one.
I feel like not only is the writing really bad, but I thought even the novelty of just seeing Jeff Daniels and Jim Carrey, who both of which are really great actors, actually.
Yeah.
Reprise those roles would at least be like amusing, and it just wasn't. It was like there was just some vibe was way off, and it just did not work. And I just kept on. I really don't quite know why that was.
You made me watch the beginning of it, which I regretted immensely.
Yeah.
In the scene I remember is Jeff Daniels pulling a catheter out of Jim Carrey's dick and like spraying urine everywhere.
Yeah.
Funny.
Although there was kind of a funny like part where Bill Murray plays the roommate in the film, but you don't know it's Bill Murray, and you never would have known that it's Bill Murray until you found out that it was Bill Murray that played the guy.
Oh, wow.
But it was like completely like a riffing on Breaking Bad. Like he was up in the yellow jumpsuit with like the goggles, and he's just like making meth in the roommate.
Oh, God.
And like, I forget who's the actual roommate, but he's like, yeah, my roommate, he just makes candy all day or something like that. And he's over there just cracking meth and making it, and it's Bill Murray. Okay, that was kind of mildly funny, but even then it was pretty like on the nose. Like it wasn't like a great joke.
Not a joke that would stand the test of time.
No. But yeah, number 5, Dumb and Dumber, doesn't really deserve any more breath than that, but yeah.
I don't see the satire in Spring Breakers. It just seemed like a really stupid movie. Number 5, Birdemic. Is that on your list?
That's my next one. How many times are we gonna do one and then like it's really gonna be the next one?
You're kidding me, aren't
You know-
you? When I bitched about that movie, you defended it.
Birdemic, Shock and Terror is my number 4.
Mine's just Birdemic. I haven't seen the sequel.
No, that Shock and Terror is the sequel.
Oh,
Or is the original one.
okay.
I think it's Birdemic, Shock and Terror. Oh, no, now I'm confused, but no, it's
There-
the first
there's a
one.
sequel, but
I know there is a sequel.
Ben brought it over. Like, man, we gotta watch this. Let's put the sun. It's supposed to be like the next room, and he comes in. I look outside, and it's just it's black as night, and it's black as night, and that's actually an interesting detail. Maybe not, but to me it is an interesting detail. He puts on the movie. I'm bored the entire way through, and it doesn't feel like The Room or something that people were trying to make good. It feels like a self-aware attempt to make one of these bad movies to me, and they succeed, but it's not. They don't succeed. They don't. It's not endearing. It's just really boring. The only thing I like about the movie is the song that's in it. Hanging out, hanging out, hanging out with my family.
Yeah.
Having ourselves a party.
Yeah, I've actually come into the room and you've been listening to that song. Which is more than I can say. I think Chris has had more enjoyment out of this movie based on at least that than I have. But yeah, that's
They credited Tippi Hedren as having a cameo, but it's one of the characters is watching a Tippi Hedren movie on TV, and that's the extent of her cameo. And she has a credit on the case of the movie.
oh yeah.
It's
I remember
boring.
watching the movie the entire time thinking she was going to come on, and I was like waiting for Tippi Hedren to come in. And then I realized she wasn't in it, and I was like, wait, why is she in it?
The movie just felt cynical. Like he did.
Those bird effects.
Yeah, it.
One-dimensional flapping birds, that's what I remember.
He made it in an express attempt to make it like a cult thing, like The Room. He didn't. He didn't
no,
make it.
I'll disagree with that.
You disagree?
Yeah, I watched the documentary about the guy who made it. Did not come off that way whatsoever.
Really?
He was, and maybe you should watch it sometime because that might enlighten you a little bit on it. But like James something is his name, and he was like a banker or something, and it was like his lifelong like dream to make a movie. And you could tell, it's not that he's not all there.
Yeah.
He's very earnest in like wanting to make a film, but he's just not quite with it. Like just doesn't. And I feel
Well,
bad.
then for some reason it didn't work out the same way it did
Yeah.
for So
No, it didn't. No.
it's just a painfully boring.
But
stupid...
YSO had production value too, and he had actual actors.
But
they are pretty good.
They do horrible jobs. But that film works as a bad,
Yeah.
enjoyable movie.
Yeah.
Birdemic doesn't. It's fucking painful.
Well, and I think the real difference is YSO had like professionals making the movie, like editing it, shooting it, and whatnot. And I think maybe that just helps kind of just
Brought it beyond YSO's scope,
maybe
so to speak, a little bit.
But Birdemic is really a horrible movie. I still kind of enjoy it. It's actually one of the films on here on my list that I actually kind of enjoy that's bad. Because there's a lot of really bad films that are on my list that I absolutely enjoy. But it's one that you just can't watch. And as soon as those bird effects come in, they're not two-dimensional.
God.
Or are they? I don't know. They're not three-dimensional because they're just like flat. And
They're
like,
flat. They're not
and they-
moving anywhere. They're just like the
two-dimensional,
same
yeah.
size.
yeah,
and they're-
2-dimensional.
Yeah.
What do I know? I don't know my dimensions.
But we watched the movie, and it was like the longest, most boring, tedious thing in my life. Then we opened the door, and it's snowing outside.
Yeah,
So it was like a weird
yeah, it was like, and then
dimension
it was.
shift.
I remember that.
Yeah.
But just as a quick little incident, the part of the documentary that I saw through Vice on that, how he got that film noticed was obviously like he had meetings with a lot of people, like he had tried to set up and try to get the film like off the ground. He had it finished. He was trying to get distribution for it, and obviously everyone was like, "What the?" They weren't seeing it at all, right? And so he got like really desperate, and like he put like every bit of his money into making of the film and trying to get it distributed, and like no one would do anything. So he like somehow got enough money to get to, it was either Telluride or Cannes, not Cannes, because Cannes is in France. I think it was American.
Telluride's American.
What's the other one? The big one in America?
Sundance?
Sundance. I think it was Sundance. And he had his van. I think maybe he drove there. He took his van and then like put like fake birds and like blood and like did up his van to look like this just ridiculous. Like if you would see it driving, you'd be like, "What the hell?" Like and he wrote like Birdemic all over it and was like just driving around during the festival, handing out the movie to people, whoever. And someone got it, and they were like, "What the hell is this?" And they did like a showing for it,
Wow.
and it just kind of became... you should really watch the little documentary, because I thought it was really interesting.
We should do that with our films.
Right? Yeah.
It reminds me of the time that you drove around town with desert sand coated all over your car with little trees and a little doll with a black shirt and a sinister expression. Mystery Spot Mobile. Just threw DVDs
Oh, he's
out the
joking.
window.
I was so confused for a sec. I was like, really? Wow. All right, well, I guess it's your turn again. Number 4.
4.
Alan, you got any? Are you looking through ones?
I'm
Alan?
just looking through lists of
Alan's
movies.
just
Like-
looking through. For all the looking through, he hasn't been finding much results.
I love movies, man.
Was that how
Oh,
it was
you
when you were in school? Were you just doing research for 5 hours and not coming up with any answers?
You should have
much.
given us a different list
This,
to work
this
with.
is me, I know, but I've just been so crazy busy lately. This is me at the karaoke bar too. I just look through the pages and never sing anything.
Dude, I only ever go to Hall & Oates or Bee Gees. It's one of the two.
You gotta have your go-to for sure.
Candyman by Sammy Davis Jr.
Well, Alan, give us a movie that everyone loves that you hate. Oh, wait. Mad Max Fury Road. Ah, shit.
I didn't care for Interstellar.
Wow.
Wow.
See, you know what? And I know a lot of people hate that. And that's probably like my number 2 favorite Christopher Nolan film.
Really?
Yeah. I love Interstellar, and it hits me every time I see it. Like, I really emotionally gets to me. But a lot of people, I know, and that movie site that we go along to.
It was one of those
on
movies I
Facebook.
really wanted to like, but I just couldn't. I don't know.
It was just like you couldn't really go with the whole. Well, I mean, we don't want to spoil it, but
Yeah.
you just couldn't.
I think I liked it for a while, and then it went south on me.
Okay.
Number 4, Stoned. It's a movie about the Rolling Stones, where there's no Rolling Stone music because they couldn't get the rights to it. They sing one song at the beginning of the movie that's a Muddy Waters song.
Yeah.
You'd think a movie about the Rolling Stones would be exciting because it's a rock band in the 60s,
And
drugs,
it's,
whatever.
You know, the fucking Rolling Stones.
But
Yeah.
they're still alive.
Yeah.
And it's about it's about one of the singers or some that ended up dying in the 60s or the early 70s. But it was just boring as fucking hell. Almost as boring as my number 3, Monuments Men. But not quite. So.
Oh, look at us. We're blowing through this.
I'm not really helping in that.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're not helping at all. Number 3 for me because your number 3 was Monuments Men.
Yeah.
Number 3 for me. A film I will only say a few words about. Probably what I only liked about it.
What?
Jack and Jill is number 3.
Is that the Adam Sandler did?
Yeah,
I
the
never
Adam
saw
Sandler
that
where he
either.
plays his sister.
Yeah, I heard it was just
Yeah,
atrocious.
well,
Mm.
for the longest time, I was always like an Adam Sandler defender.
Yeah.
You gotta give that up.
And honestly, it's not like I was a full-on defender, but it was always like,
No.
yeah, but he made Happy
Yeah, I know.
Gilmore.
We're hanging on to those
And
classics.
I don't
so
like
much.
Billy Madison. I
do.
know a lot of people do, but I'm like, oh man, but I love Happy Gilmore, and I kind of love 50 First Dates, and I kind of like Anger Management. Like, those are films that I love to watch, turn on. But even Mr. Deeds,
Little
or
Nicky.
not,
Little Nicky's great.
Big Daddy is another one too.
Oh, Big Daddy. Yeah.
But and like even, sadly, even Click, but.
51st Date's the main one I disagree with.
But man, I mean, especially as of late, although his last one I kind of enjoyed part time, which was Sandy Wexler. That was kind of fun actually, but it went on a little long. But
Well, it was actually good writing, but the problem with that, I felt like it was too Sandler. The character was something we had seen before.
the
Sandy?
Wexler,
But
Sandy
Sandy
Wexler, yeah.
But other than that, I was
I kind of
into the
enjoyed
story
it a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I kind of liked how they did it too with the whole party like motif.
Was it like a Supermensch kind of takeoff of that, or was it?
I mean, kind of essentially, but kind of an anti-Supermensch, like a guy who right does everything wrong, really, but
Wes Ramsey plays
has the best
Supermensch.
intentions.
Wes Ramsey plays Supermensch in Shock Opera.
What is the Supermensch's actual name? I forget now.
Shep Gordon.
Yeah, one of probably Mike Myers' best movie. He's the one that made it. But Jack and Jill, yeah, I don't really want to say much more than that, but it's just so lazy. It's just like, hey, let's find what character hasn't Jack Jill or what character hasn't Adam Sandler done? Well, a twin sister that's a girl. That's really obnoxious. Cool, let's do it. And they just made a film. But I will say the film did give us, the scene with Al Pacino at the end, doing the Dunkin' Donuts commercial, saying Dunkin' 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 Dunk Pacino, and actually singing and dancing.
Oh,
Which still that clip is something I frequently go to, simply because it's great to see such a thespian literally shit onto his career. But
What makes no sense to me about it is he comes in to the Dunkin' Donuts and they're like, "It's Al Pacino." And, "My name's not Al anymore. It's Dunk." And the kids are like, "Dunkachino? That's what you go to?" It wouldn't be Dunkachino. It would be Dunk Pacino. His last name is still Pacino, even if you change it from Al to Dunk.
all right, and
Dunk Pacino.
latest in the edition of people who think way too far into things.
Sorry,
Jeff
some of us
Bridges.
like using their brains.
That's true. I don't. But for one, when I leave my work, I try to shut it completely off.
I thought you shut it off when you got to work, just to survive. Maybe that's what you've been doing wrong.
You did not hear that, bosses. All right. Number 2 for you.
Okay. This would be the worst film I've ever seen if it wasn't for my number 1, obviously. But it's one of the worst movies I've seen. It's the worst biopic. It's offensive in multiple ways.
Oh, I know.
It makes me groan. It's the shitty, horrible, terrible taste 1989 John Belushi biopic, Wired, starring Michael Chiklis.
Oh, Michael.
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen a lot of the ones on your guys' list.
Wired is
I feel grateful.
a movie where it's basically like it's multiple things. The more grounded thing is J.T. Walsh as Bob Woodward going around interviewing his family. So, why did he have to ruin his life with drugs? And then they talk. It's the whole thing's like they turn his life into an after-school special during part of the movie, and they do it to the other part too, but the other part's really fucking weird. The way they introduced Belushi is he's inside of a morgue on a table in a plastic bag. There's lightning and thunder flashing throughout, and suddenly the bag starts to squirm. Let me out! Let me out! And Belushi's corpse rips open the bag, and he sits up. Where am I? And then he jumps off the table, and he does the Belushi leg thing, where he's like, it looks like he's looking in two directions with his feet. He's like, duh, duh. I've seen him do it. It's hard to. He's like, he looks both ways, and he starts running, and then he has a towel around his waist out in the corridor. They just keep stacks of towels in the corner office, and he's running with the towel around his waist down the hallway. Ah! And somewhere along the line, he meets his Puerto Rican guardian angel named Angel, who drives a cab. He's like, why'd you do it, John? You could have had it all, but you screwed up your life with drugs. And he's like, this can't be happening. How can I be dead? No, I want to go back. Let me go back. There's a scene that, where Belushi's laying on. He's about to have his autopsy, and he's laying there doing weird impersonations. At one point, he's laying there. Oh God, what's happening? Doctors are getting their knives out and their scalpels and everything, and then he starts for some reason doing impersonations. Like, why am I dead? I could have been a contender, and for some reason there's a Chinese Benihana. What kind of there's like a hibachi chef with two knives standing over Belushi. He's like, time for your autopsy. Shing, shing, shing. He's
That
like,
was one of his big SNL characters, right?
not that I know if there was a samurai chef, I think. But anyway, he's screaming, no! Don't kill me! And there's another scene where they're trying. He died in California, and they're trying to get his body back to Martha's Vineyard, but they're having trouble putting the casket into the cargo compartment. And they're like, well, get him out of there. And someone's like, are you crazy? You know who's in this casket? John Belushi. He's like, well, he's not gonna fit, is he? So they take his corpse out of the casket, and he's wrapped in black plastic bags, and they buckle him in. He's like, guys, let me out. and
This is hurting my head.
And the plane takes off, and a few minutes later, it shows Angel, the guardian angel Puerto Rican cab driver character, at a Blues Brothers pinball machine. He's like, oh yeah. And John Belushi falls through the ceiling. And he randomly falls through the ceiling, and he stands up and he's like, oh hey, Angel. And he's like, John, you want to, if you play this pinball game and win, you get to live again. You want to live again, John, and have a career? And he's like, yeah, I want to live again. I want to fulfill my destiny. He's like, all right, John. And then John Belushi goes over to the pinball machine. He starts playing this thing, and he loses the game. Apparently, that's why Belushi is dead, is because he lost a pinball game with the guardian angel.
Okay.
Stop. No, fuck you. You don't get to cut me off.
This hurts.
I didn't cut off your reviews.
This literally hurts. This explanation.
This is a movie they made about a real person
So
with people.
up.
It is a real person who died with people, many people, and Chiklis is like, man. Chiklis talks about, I don't know why they all turned against me. They like, I was just a 25-year-old kid trying to make it in this business, and I was blacklisted. Well, maybe. Like, before you took the role, you should have read the script. Like, what? This is a real person. And there's a scene where, for some reason, like Bob Woodward is putting together what happened inside of in his head. He's like, and he's walking through the Chateau Marmont, hotel room where Belushi died, and Belushi's laying in the bed. He's like, "Oh God, why did Kathy Smith have to give me that speedball?" And he's like, and he walks up, and he's like, "Why'd you do it, John?" "What do you mean? You had everything, but you decided to throw it all away with drugs." And he's like, "Oh man, bullshit, man." He's like, "Why, John? You had the world at your feet. You were America's guest, like your friend Dan Aykroyd said. Why?" Tell my story, Woodward. Tell my story. And then he dies right after saying that. And it's absurdly disrespectful. It goes out of its way to be disrespectful. Like most of the people that John Belushi knew, like most of his colleagues threatened lawsuits if they were portrayed. Dan Aykroyd was portrayed, but he was not in favor of the film. He reportedly tried to put a hex on the movie.
That's like the most Dan Aykroyd thing possible.
I know, right? It sounds like something he would
Dan
do.
Aykroyd tried to put a hex.
Hey, I'm gonna put a hex on this movie. Crystal had vodka.
I'm gonna put a hex on this movie. Yeah.
I put a hex on you. Okay.
Ah.
Dan Aykroyd must not like me. But, yeah, that's...
Well,
It's nobody...
I've only ever
Nobody
seen.
liked
Who is the actor?
Michael Chiklis. He played, like, the Shield.
When he got blacklisted. Oh.
And he was blacklisted for a while. And then someone finally gave him a role again.
The Shield, the bald dude.
Yeah, the bald dude played Belushi.
Yeah, that was. I think that was his literally like next. Like
He was in a movie.
I'm
with
sure he was
Burt
in.
Reynolds.
I'm sure he was in a few movies, but he was pretty big when the Shield hit. That was a pretty popular show.
Yeah.
And then I think he also played the Thing. In,
Now I can recall pictures of him in the young years.
He also played the Thing in the Fantastic Four movies.
That's right, the first two.
The first two.
Which apparently are better than the reboot from what I've
reboot they
heard.
did, yeah.
Which is amazing because I saw the first one and it was terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my number 2, Wired.
Wow. Yeah.
And have you heard of it before?
No, but I would be offended by that.
I've only
I
ever
was
seen the
deeply
intro
offended.
because
And I'm not offended by stuff like that.
Jeff sent me the intro and I was like, whoa. Like, but just Jeff explaining it, it seems like literally the most misguided attempt. Yeah, why?
That's
It
mean-spirited.
sounds intentionally mean-spirited.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really mean-spirited.
I don't know. Chiklis is like Chiklis is trying to defend himself. Like I was a fan and I was trying to pay him. Dude, he gets autopsied by a sushi chef, and he does impersonations of Marlon Brando on his autopsy table. Like,
That's too bad.
Got any other ones, Alan? As Alan takes a bite of the cold pizza, he ponders his existence and all the movies that he's ever seen. He looks up to the heavens, shakes his hand,
and says, "Why did you smoke all that pot?"
Alan, my family listens to this podcast.
Sorry.
They
yeah.
want to know I associate with such a deviant. Just kidding.
We don't really hang out. Don't worry.
Aw,
Oh,
this isn't hanging out.
This is hanging out.
hanging out with
I'm
the
telling
family.
his parents that it's not like he's hanging out with
See, he
deviants
said
getting
that we
rubbed
don't
off.
hang out on the podcast, but then he looked at me and said, "We hang out," under his breath. I got it.
I didn't say I didn't want to hang out.
Mm.
Why are we turning it into this?
I don't know. I have a number 2 film.
Yeah.
Number 2. Worst film of all time. I don't remember the year. I want to say 1998 or 2001. It's one of those years. Starring one of the greatest actors the world has ever known, John Travolta. The
Face
movie is no. Face Off is amazing.
I think I know what it is.
The movie is Battlefield
Battlefield
Earth.
Yep.
And my mom is a huge John Travolta fan. She's in love with him, literally. Owns almost every one of his movies. So it was always kind of cool when he came out with a new movie. I knew my mom would buy it, and we'd get to watch it together. And when Battlefield Earth came out, I was kind of excited to see it because I love that. I mean, just watch the trailer for that movie, and if you're like 8 years old, you're like, "Whoa, this is gonna be amazing." That movie is just bad, and it has him in it, and it has Forrest Whitaker, and Barry Pepper plays like the main heartthrob of the movie. Barry Pepper's a great actor, but Forrest Whitaker is obviously a great actor too. And wow, that movie is just, whew, it's just a lot bad going on with it. Just everything from the one thing I can remember that I really hate about it is that similar to like Batman and Robin, which I love to hate because that movie sucks too, is every shot in this movie is like completely Dutch angled, like real like 90s. Look at this. This is weird.
It's based on an L. Ron Hubbard book.
Oh,
too.
I know, and that would explain why John Travolta is the lead actor in it because he's, Mr. Scientology, and I think Scientology backed the movie too with their funding and everything when it came out. And not only was every scene like Dutch angled, but like the transitions in the film were made Windows Movie Maker look high class.
Wow.
I remember they were just really weird transitions, and they felt so cheap. The movie just feels cheap, and yeah, it's just it's a really bad movie. It's not enjoyably bad either. It's literally an absolute drag to listen or to watch. So that's all I got. Battlefield Earth #2, a movie neither of you have seen, I assume, correct?
I have not.
Well, run to your VHS store to grab
Sure.
yourself a copy.
So that takes me to my number one, I guess.
Oh shit!
The worst film I've ever seen.
All right.
The worst film I've ever seen. We actually talked about it in our last podcast or one before it. But I'm going to talk about it again. Crispin Hellion Glover's.
Oh.
It's fine. Everything is fine.
Wow.
That's the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. It's about a man with cerebral palsy somehow murdering able-bodied young women after having sex with them. And basically the entire movie is him doing that over and over again. He basically, the woman's like, wow, I'm so lucky. I'm such a lucky girl to be with you. Yeah, I'm a really nice man. And they make love. Like, wow, you're the best man I've ever known. He's like, yeah, I'm so glad that you fucked me, and I fucked you because I have cerebral palsy. And then
I had to sit through it too. I could pound. It's pretty awful.
How is that movie on the same list as Life is Beautiful?
easily. But Life is Beautiful is number 10. And anyway, after he has sex, he goes, like the girls are like, he'll go over and strangle the women by putting one arm over the other, and in the little triangle where his two arms meet is where the women are strangled. But it's never convincing. He does like this, and it's about this far down from where the women's necks are, and oh no! And you can see the gap between his arms and their necks. But he's like, and that's pretty much what the movie is. This handicapped guy apparently it was based on his real life fantasies, which he wrote about. Crispin Glover apparently thought they would make a beautiful movie or something. And it is the worst.
It
The
would
worst.
it would be a movie that Crispin Glover would make, though.
Sure. I mean, it just sounds right up his wheelhouse
It
to me.
really does.
So,
When we were watching it, people were walking out of the theater in like groups of 10. But we stayed because we wanted to meet Crispin Glover afterwards.
Yeah, that was our like our thing is that we stayed because there was
Nobody's
a
gonna
meet and
get to-
greet
yeah.
after, and it was like, I mean, at the end of the day, it's still Crispin freaking Glover. But I remember just being like, oh my god, like that was a tough set. That was a tough set because
It was.
it kept on going and it was kind of slow. And they had like the same song. I remember they had like the same song they used like every 2 minutes in that movie.
no.
And it was like some like sonata that was clearly like public domain that you knew.
Dun, dun, dun,
I don't-
dun, 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 dun.
Something like that.
Is it Moonlight Sonata? Dun,
I don't remember.
Dun, dun.
But I just remember thinking, oh my god, come on, please. Yeah, that was rough. I can't believe that's not on my list.
Wow.
That's one I forgot.
It's the worst movie I've ever seen. The worst. The worst. What's the worst movie you've ever seen?
Number one. Worst movie I've ever seen. This movie is so bad. It's one of those movies where it's like, wow, they actually made that movie. It came out a few years ago. Has some decent supporting cast members where you're like, clearly they took a paycheck and did. Why the heck were they making this movie? The Identical.
Oh,
Identical.
oh shit.
It's the worst movie I've ever seen. It's like a faux biopic of a guy who is clearly supposed to be Elvis, but is not Elvis.
The Identical.
Like, not Elvis at all.
Really?
But like has the same, like has a younger brother who was a twin that was like, although in Elvis's case, like the twin died when he was really young, but here like the twin was given up for given up to someone who couldn't have kids, and like then the twin knew like in his heart like he was a good singer, and the other twin became on to be like, you know, Elvis,
Yeah.
and like
And Elvis exists in this universe. They
Yeah.
mention him in the
Yeah,
movie.
that's
He
the
sings
movie.
just like Elvis, but Elvis exists. Elvis Presley. Someone else. And Drexel the Dream Hensley.
yeah, and like the movie is just, oh my god, there's just like things that happened where you're like, that was in it. It's hard to explain having not seen it, but like the music, oh my god, like, and I still remember some of the music in there. It's like they clearly like wrote it trying to be, but like I remember like it was supposed to be like the big pivotal scene. It was like he was singing this song that was supposed to melt the hearts of millions. And it was like, your love's leaving me tonight. Like, and it's like this whole like, and like, but you listen to the song, and like clearly it was supposed to be in like the 70s when this song was coming out, but like the song sounds so early 90s R&B that it's like obviously they didn't do a good enough job making it kind of like sound like it was a period song.
Yeah.
40-year-old guys are supposed to be teenagers.
Yeah, and it's just.
You can't ground me. I'm going out on the town.
It's so like they totally play on that. My daddy's a preacher, and rock and roll
Ray
music
Liotta
is the
plays
devil.
the
Yeah,
daddy.
Ray Liotta plays the dad.
Oh.
And one of my favorite parts, which is horrible, is that part where he's like one of those tent preachers, you know, that has like a tent, and then everyone's just like, and he's doing his sermon or whatever, and
Yeah.
you know the part I'm talking
Yes.
about. It is so misguided. And he's like, I have to tell y'all a story. And everyone's like, oh, you know, listening with bated breath. And he's like, Ashley Judd plays his wife.
Yeah, Ashley Judd is in
And
this.
she can't get pregnant. She's the one, they're the couple that ends up getting the twin from the other family that can't afford to have the two kids. And he's like, this is my wife. she can't have a baby. She's, but I forget the term he uses.
She's miscarried 3 of our children.
And she can't. But like totally, it's just like she's pretty much worthless because she can't have my baby, which is pretty much how it comes off as. And he does it in front of the whole entire congregation. He's like, "This is my wife. She's not worth anything." And
That's not what his intention is.
No,
In
but
speech,
that's how it
it
comes
comes off. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
terrible.
It's horrible. But yes, The Identical is the worst film I've ever seen. When I really think about it. And I've
that
I've
amazes
seen
me.
worse made movies, but that movie is just wow. It's just so.
For me, it's one of those that I have fun watching. And I'm not going to defend it at all because you're absolutely right about everything.
Yeah.
But I enjoy the hell out of it. I like the music. It's half-assed Elvis, and he looks like him, and he sounds kind of like him.
Well, the guy is like an Elvis impersonator.
Yeah.
Like,
But
it just.
it just makes it laugh. Like the scene where he sends Ray Liotta has raised the twin to believe that he was their natural born kid, and eventually he realizes he's the brother of Drexel the Dream Hensley, and the son of this poor dude who gave him to the preacher after he gave that "my wife can't have kids" speech. And he sends. There's a scene where Liotta and horrible aging make it. No one else ages in the movie except for Ray Liotta. Like Ray Liotta looks like the crypt keeper at the end of the movie, and everyone else basically looks the same. Ray Liotta's like, he gets a letter, "Daddy, I know I'm not your natural born child, and you've been lying to me, but I forgive you, and I still love you." And he starts crying. Just like that.
Damn it, it's the best movie I've ever seen. It's also the worst and the best movie I've ever seen. Oh, dude, like he's the only one really giving it all he's got. God bless him.
Why did he take that role?
Seth Green plays like the drummer in the band, and he's always just like, "Hey, I'm Seth Green. I'm the drummer." Yeah.
How did Seth Green get in that movie? Honestly.
Oh, dude, I don't know. So funny. Wow.
So, what are your thoughts, Alan?
Any last thoughts, Alan?
I'm surprised at how few I've seen on your guys' list. So I felt that I couldn't really agree or disagree.
Now,
but,
if you ever really want to waste 2 hours of your life,
well, I like watching bad movies.
but these are movies you're not going to want to watch.
Well,
Some of them maybe.
Okay, The Identical you should go see.
yeah, that's
It's appallingly odd how much they pretty much did Elvis, but with not.
I will
doing
not
it.
watch the one about John Belushi because that is offensive.
I don't think. Yeah,
Don't watch it. Actually,
that movie doesn't deserve
It's-
my eyes.
it's a curiosity for sure, but it's really disrespectful. Hang on a second, I'm trying to find my list. Well, definitely don't watch my number one. Don't watch It's Fine, Everything Is Fine.
Well, he wouldn't be able to because
because
it's not. He had never released it digitally or on DVD. He only travels with it.
Oh, yeah.
So
If you get,
you wouldn't be able to see it anyways unless you saw him.
yeah, I would avoid it if you get the chance. If you want to meet him, maybe like sneak out the back door and then.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of George McFly.
Yeah, he's like a Yaroslavsky type, isn't he? A little bit.
Yeah, he's a good actor.
He's got a great voice.
I mean, that's the only thing I've seen him in is Back to the Beach.
Really?
Yeah.
Willard's good.
Oh, I did see Willard.
Hot Tub
actually.
Time Machine?
I did see Hot Tub Time Machine.
I've only ever seen him in Back to the Future.
He's been in a few other ones. I just can't think of off the top of my head.
Was he in the second Hot Tub Time Machine? That one looks terrible. I don't
haven't
want to watch
seen
it.
that. He's also in River's Edge. No? Well, God bless Crispin Glover.
Yes.
Another great interview he had.
Oh, yeah, with David Letterman?
Yeah.
I've never actually seen the interview, but I know it's pretty notorious. Did he, throw... Oh, thank you.
He kicked his shoe off near Letterman's
he's,
face.
He's just on something. Yeah.
He's just an odd guy. He kept calling me Joff. I said, what's your name? Is it Joff? No, it's Jeff. I never got that one before, Joff. I should get like Geoff or something.
I remember that. And I also remember, like, the line for the meet and greet was, like, 100 feet away from where he was meeting and greeting. And he was just by himself at a desk. And I remember, like, he would wave people over and we were next. There was just that long, awkward walk to a man sitting at a desk who was clearly watching us. And we're like...
Just dun, 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 dun,
You
dun, dun, dun.
would like
Shit.
get there, and
That's
he's like, and he was very warm. And he's like, "How are you?" And the most like, the most like crisp and clever, and you're like, "I'm great."
That's where
And, how did you enjoy the film? And I'm like, the music was great.
No.
Or what did I say?
You didn't say anything about it. So, what do you guys think of the movie? Like, yeah, Cinema 21's a great theater.
I know I averted it somehow. I don't remember.
And
Quite remember.
I could tell that he could totally see that you had. I said, "Oh, yes, it is." But I remember that was that was that Crispin Glover thing that we were waiting in line for when that girl behind us like, "Hey, can you want to take a picture of you giving me a kiss?" And I'm like, "Oh, sure." And then we take the picture, and then I felt kind of odd about it. Like, we went outside and I kissed her on the cheek, and she's like, and she took a picture of it.
It actually happened. Yeah.
It actually happened. And she's like, "Hey, do you want a copy of this? You can give me your email." And I was like, "Oh, I'm good." And then later that night, I'm like, "Wait a minute, fuck."
Just like, dang it! The one instance that I could prove to people that I kissed a beautiful lady, and he said, "No, I'm good." He said it just like that too. He was probably like, "No, I'm good."
It was a misstep
Wow.
for sure.
Well,
But yeah. Anything else to say?
no, I'm good. That's been the worst films of all time. I'm like defeated by that list. The list like literally defeated me of all my enthusiasm for
Yeah.
film.
For Heavy Set Go, this has been Jeff Crenshaw.
Ben Eastman.
And Alan Burrell.
Heavy Set Go.